Okay. It's going? Hello? You can hear? ¿Me escuchas? Maria, Maria, ¿me escuchas? Before we start, I just wanted to just make a few announcements because once I start, I might forget. And Veronica's over there today, so she can't remind me. The first one is I've been telling people about Qigong, you know, and I think if you come to the Nundro weekend, we'll be doing Qigong every day then, but I found, actually a friend of mine gave me a very good Qigong DVD. So if you can't go to classes, it's by a man named Lee, L-E-E, Holden, H-O-L-D-E-N. And actually there are many of them. He's like Feng Shui super guy, you know, Qigong Superman. But the one that was given to me that I found very helpful was Qigong for more energy. And, you know, some people I'm hearing stories, you know, there's a lot of energy imbalance in the world today. And if you want to help yourself, that's a good one to get, I found, you know. You can just Google Lee Holden, you know, it would come up. And I don't think, maybe $15 or something, maybe 20. I hope it's not expensive. Oh, hi. My friend just loaned me hers, but so we'll be doing a few Qigongs from that. So that's that. And the second one is also, people have questions sometimes, and they're too shy to raise their hand. But, you know, when you ask me afterwards, the other people don't get the benefit. So if you have a question and you're too shy to raise your hand, then during the break, just write it on a piece of paper and put it here. And no one will know who the question was from. Okay? I won't even know, you know. And so then but I can answer it, right? So I think that's helpful for the shy people. Or if it's kind of personal or something, you know. So that's the second thing. The third is tomorrow night, we have a night at the beach. I don't know what beach. You know where we're going? Is it announced somewhere we're going? Yes. So I think we're going to do a Naga Puja. Now, does anyone not know what Naga Puja, what it is? Because I think it would be something that Puerto Rican people would like very much, because the Nagas are the water spirits. And some people think that one of the reasons why we're having so many like hurricanes and earthquakes and these kinds of things is because the Nagas are upset. Because Nagas are beings, they're kind of mythical creatures. The traditional Himalayan vision of them is the bottom part's snake and the top part's human, like a mermaid. But the Nagas are kind of important because they are intelligent enough. The Nagas they practice Dharma, you know. In fact, the name Nagarjuna, you all know Nagarjuna, he has that name because he spent a lot of time in the land of the Nagas. And in fact, the prayer wheels that we turn comes from Nagaland. And in fact, I think the story is that the reason we didn't get the Mahayana for 500 years is because it wasn't the human beings weren't ready, but Buddha taught it to the Nagas. And so Nagarjuna brought it from the Nagas back to the human realm with the prayer wheel and the Mahayana teachings. This is the legends, you know. I mean, we were talking about this yesterday, you know. A lot of Buddhism, like Christianity, there's a lot of mythology. And I remember my father once, I introduced... Okay, now? Is it the radio or something? Maybe we should just meditate for a while then. We have to clear away the obstacles. Yeah, see, I just meant to give announcements. I started telling stories, so we have to do the Heart Sutra and everything first. Maybe it'll clear it up. And light some incense in there, too.
Ok, comenzamos entonces con la alabanza al Buda Shakyamuni. Maestro, destructor de enemigos, has sido Buda completa y perfectamente despierto, dotado con sabiduría y conducta ejemplar, ido al gozo, timonero que guía a los seres ordinarios que aún deben ser domados, Ser Supremo, Maestro de todos los dioses y los hombres, Buda, destructor de enemigos, glorioso y victorioso Ser Shakyamuni. Ante ti me postro y a ti voy por refugio. Maestro, destructor de enemigos, has sido Buda completa y perfectamente despierto, dotado con sabiduría y conducta ejemplar, ido al gozo, timonero que guía a los seres ordinarios que aún deben ser domados, Ser Supremo, Maestro de todos los dioses y los hombres, Buda, destructor de enemigos, glorioso y victorioso Ser Shakyamuni, ante ti me postro y a ti voy por refugio. Maestro, destructor de enemigos, has sido Buda completa y perfectamente despierto, dotado con sabiduría y conducta ejemplar, ido al gozo, timonero que guía a los seres ordinarios que aún deben ser domados, Ser Supremo, Maestro de todos los dioses y los hombres, Buda, destructor de enemigos, glorioso y victorioso Ser Shakyamuni, ante ti me postro y a ti voy por refugio. Vamos con el Sutra del Corazón a la perfección de la sabiduría. Así lo oí. Una vez el bendito estaba residiendo en Rayagrilla, en la montaña llamada Pico del Buitre, junto a una gran asamblea de monjes y una gran asamblea de bodhisattvas. En ese momento el bendito entró al samadhi que expresa el Dharma, llamado iluminación profunda, y al mismo tiempo el noble Avalokiteshvara, el bodhisattva Mahasattva, mientras practicaba la profunda perfección de la sabiduría, vio lo siguiente. Vio que los 5 skandhas son de la naturaleza del vacío. Entonces, por el poder del Buda, el venerable Shariputra le preguntó al noble Avalokiteshvara, el bodhisattva Mahasattva, cómo debe entrenar un hijo o una hija de familia noble que quiere practicar la profunda perfección de la sabiduría. Entonces el noble Avalokiteshvara, el bodhisattva Mahasattva, le contestó al venerable Shariputra, oh Shariputra, un hijo o una hija de familia noble que desea practicar la profunda perfección de la sabiduría debe practicar así, viendo lo siguiente, que los 5 skandhas son de la naturaleza del vacío. La forma es el vacío también es la forma. El vacío no es otra cosa que la forma no es otra cosa que el vacío. De la misma manera, los sentimientos, las percepciones, las formaciones mentales y la conciencia también son el vacío. Por lo tanto, Shariputra, todos los dharmas son el vacío. No existen las características, no existe el nacimiento ni la cesación. No hay impureza y no hay pureza, no hay merma ni hay aumento. Por lo tanto, Shariputra, en el vacío no hay forma, sentimiento, percepción, formación mental ni conciencia. No hay ojos, oídos, nariz, lengua, cuerpo o mente. No hay apariencia, ni sonidos, ni olores, ni sabores, ni tacto, ni dharmas. No hay dato de los ojos y así el dato de la mente y conciencia. No hay ignorancia ni fin de la ignorancia hasta la vejez y la muerte. No hay fin de la vejez y de la muerte. No hay sufrimiento ni origen del sufrimiento. No hay cesación del sufrimiento, ni sendero, ni sabiduría, ni logro, ni ausencia de logro. Por lo tanto, Shariputra, ya que los bodhisattvas no tienen logros, moran en la profunda perfección de la sabiduría. Como no hay oscuración en la mente, ni tampoco temor. Trascienden lo falso y alcanzan el nirvana total. Todos los budas de los 3 tiempos, a través de la práctica de la profunda perfección de la sabiduría, despiertan completamente a la iluminación insuperable, verdadera y total. Por lo tanto, el gran mantra de la profunda perfección de la sabiduría, el mantra de la gran percepción, el mantra insuperable, el mantra inigualado, el mantra que calma todo sufrimiento, debe ser conocido como la verdad, ya que no contiene falsedad. El mantra de la profunda perfección de la sabiduría es Tayata Gate Gate Para Gate para samgate bodhisoha. Tayata gate gate para gate para samgate bodhisoha. Tayata gate gate para samgate bodhisoha. Tayata gate gate ragate para samgate bodhisoha. Tayata gate gate para samgate bodhisoha. Tayata gate gate para samgate bodhisoha. Tayata gate gate para samgate bodhisoha. Por lo tanto, Shariputra, el Bodhisattva Mahasattva debe entrenarse en la profunda perfección de la sabiduría. Entonces el bendito salió del Samadhi y elogió al noble Avalokiteshvara, el Bodhisattva Mahasattva, diciendo: bien dicho, así es, oh hijo de noble familia, así es. Se debe practicar la profunda perfección de la sabiduría, así como has explicado, y todos los tatagas se regocijarán. Cuando el bendito dijo estas palabras, el venerable Shariputra y el noble Avalokiteshvara, el Bodhisattva Mahasattva, y toda la asamblea de dioses, humanos, asuras y gandharvas se regocijaron y alabaron las palabras del bendito. Hacemos la ofrenda del mandala breve. Esta tierra ungida con perfume y regada de flores, con el monte Meru, los 4 continentes, el sol y la luna, vista como una tierra de pura, yo te ofrezco, que todos los seres pueden gozar de una tierra así. Oh sagrado y venerable Lama, desde las nubes de compasión que se forman en los cielos de tu sabiduría dharmakāyika, por favor derrama una lluvia del Dharma vasto y profundo, de acuerdo precisamente con las necesidades de los que serán adiestrados. Idam Guru Radha Mandalakam Nirjatayami. Y tomamos refugio. Voy por refugio hasta alcanzar la iluminación, al Buda, al Dharma y a la Asamblea Suprema. Por los méritos que acumule practicando la generosidad y demás perfecciones, que puedo obtener el estado de Buda para beneficiar a todos los seres. Voy por refugio hasta alcanzar la iluminación, al Buda, al Dharma y a la Asamblea Suprema. Por los méritos que acumule practicando la generosidad y demás perfecciones, puede obtener el estado de Buda para beneficiar a todos los seres. Voy por refugio hasta alcanzar la iluminación, al Buda, al Dharma y a la Asamblea Suprema, que por los méritos que acumule practicando la generosidad y demás perfecciones, que pueda obtener el estado de Buda para beneficiar a todos los seres.
How's it now? It's okay? Okay, we were talking about nagas. So, anyway, nagas like everything to be very clean, particularly around water. because in the mythology, they control the rain and the wind and the weather. So I think, like in China, you have the dragons, they're sort of like dragons or something. But what I was going to say, maybe I don't need to say. But anyway, no, I will say. Some people have trouble with mythologies that are in Buddhism and different religions, these kind of things. And so one time I took my father to meet Robert Thurman. He's a professor, big guy. And my dad said to him, I really appreciate Buddhist philosophy and I think it's really great, but he says, I just can't deal with the mythology, it's too, cause it's not scientific, And he said, well, don't worry about it then. Just take the part that works for you, And I've heard the Dalai Lama say that too, Just, if you just use what's helpful in your life. So if you can't relate to Nagas and things like that, then don't worry about it, But I think people here probably would like that stuff, so that's, anyway, so back to the Nagas. And so one of the things I think is that a lot of the reasons we're having trouble is because we're polluting the land so much, and we're making the ocean so full of garbage. And I can just tell you a little story. A lot of you know Samden. He's come here before and teaching. He's old friend of mine. I've known him for many years. And I think it was in like 79 or 1980, he was living at Chenrezig Institute, which is a FPMT center in Australia, one of the first centers. It's a very beautiful place now, and it's very developed. But back then it was just, just a hippie commune, kind of thing. And there was a couple there who were like naturopaths and homeopaths, but they had developed, because it's in Queensland, Australia, which is somewhat tropical, like here. It's very hot and lots of rain. And so they had developed these tropical ulcers on the top of their feet. And even though they're these doctors, they couldn't heal it. They couldn't make it go away no matter what, and it was like actually eating, like it was on both sides of the feet, it was that bad. And so they were very fortunate that year. The abbot of Sarah J. Monastery was there teaching for a whole year. So he was raising money to build they didn't have any buildings back then yet at Sarah J. His name was Geshe Lekten. And so somebody said, well, go ask Geshe-la, So they went to Geshe Lekten and he checked, he just kind of, how the Lama, he just sort of looked back like this and said, He said, do you live near any water? And they said, no. He said, are you sure? And then they realized that the pipe that brought the water from the well down to the center went right through their camp. Because I think back then people just camped, they didn't have many buildings. He said, you have to go back and clean up your camp really well. Because even though they were doctors, they were a little bit sloppy, and left garbage around and stuff. So they went back and cleaned it up really well and kept it really clean, and their ulcers were healed. And he said, later he told them those were naga bites. And like the Tibetans think that a lot of cancer, not all cancer, is caused by nagas. And that Hayagriva Vajrapani Garuda Humpe, that one, that's to clear that away. So I've had some pretty interesting experiences with doing Naga pujas. And I guess I can take a little time to tell another story. I think it was like 1987. It was before I was ordained, and Sundar was my husband, and we were doing our preliminary practices like you guys, mandalas and prostrations and 100,000 this, 100,000 that. And that summer, because in Lama Tsongkhapa's tradition, there's 9 nundros. On top of the 5, one of the ones you do is 100,000 water bowl offerings. And so we had thought that we would do that in the summer when the rain came, because we lived on a creek called Dry Creek. And that only ran in the summer. And we had this idea that we could go down to the creek and do the water bowls at the creek. It'd be easier. You just take the buckets out of the creek and pour them in the bowls, and you know. And I had been at Vajrapani Institute the summer before, and I was asked to just help go through the filing cabinet, you know. So I went through the filing cabinet and I pulled this thing out, because I knew already what Nagas was, because I was already interested in that kind of stuff. And I was saying, you know, Naga Puja. And so I borrowed it. I didn't tell anybody I borrowed it, but I was planning to bring it back. Eventually I did. But they didn't even, you know, nobody missed it. They didn't even know what it was. So I took it, and I took it back to Colorado, and one afternoon, I think it was early spring, or maybe it was early summer, for some reason I pulled it out and read it, you know. And then the next day, this couple, we were doing retreat at a friend of mine's house, and in Colorado, a very beautiful place in Colorado, you know, 8,000 feet and mountains. And so this friend had a big pasture in the front, and she let some other people keep their horses in the pasture. And even though we were in retreat, we saw them from time to time, you know, every couple months or something. So they came over and knocked on the door, and this guy, Leon, came in and he said, "Oh, we're going up to this place tomorrow. Do you want to come with us? We're taking the horses up to, you know, go up to the top of the mountain." Like, you know, maybe 11,000 feet. You know, those, you know how Colorado is. And he started explaining to me, describing to me the place where they wanted to go. And just the day before, I had read this place where you're supposed to do Naga Puja, where the king of the Nagas lives. And it was exactly like that. It's supposed to be a place in a mountain where there's a lake and a meadow with flowers. And anyway, it just sounded like that. So I said, oh, maybe we should go and do the Naga Puja up there. So we went with them. And so there was Samden and myself and the couple with the horses, and they had 2 friends. And the wife of these other 2 friends was a born-again Christian. But my friends, Muffin and Leon, they were kind of keen to do Naga Puja, you know. So we got up there, and we went to the place, and I'd never done it before. I didn't really know much about it, but I did this Naga Puja, and the Christian couple had climbed to the top of the mountain. And it was kind of overcast, and they said, wow, you know, when you were doing that puja, the clouds just came apart right where you were, and the sun was shining right on you, you know. And when we did the Naga Puja, you light this incense, and I noticed when we lit the incense started going around a circle around us, you know. And then, right when we finished, it had that little rain of flowers, you know, it started to rain. And then that night it started raining, and it rained, and it rained, and it rained, and it rained, and it was like the wettest summer they'd had forever, and I mean for a long time. And they were all really, really happy because Colorado is a very dry place, and so they had a lot of grass for their horses and everything. So it was really funny because people it was a hippie place, you know, and they started hearing about it. And one of my really dear friends, you met her, Sesame, she became a Buddhist because of that, you know. They started hearing about, you know, and they got more interested because we made it rain with this Naga Puja. So I think it was like a year later, I saw Lama Zopa and I told him about it. And he was really interested, and he translated this text, or had Jambachoki translated text about what days to do Naga Puja. But anyway, because of that, now, you know, FPMT has this Naga Puja because I gave it to a friend of mine, and so now, like, you can download it and use it. And I don't know where they had it at Vajrapani, you know, or how it was translated. Nobody knows who translated it. But it's by Panchen, the 4th, you know, Panchen Losang Choki Gyaltsen, the same Lama who wrote the Lama Chopa and, you know, our Mahamudra teaching. So it was quite reputable Lama, you know. So ever since then, I kind of enjoy doing Naga Pujas. And so, but the one we're going to do tomorrow, because it's a little bit shorter, is one that Veronica has from her Reiki teacher, who's also maybe you met her, she's a Nyingma teacher, Kadro Kunsung. Yeah, so I don't know, we're going to do that one instead of Losang Choki Gyaltsen's. Because it'd be interesting to do a different one. But I've checked it out. It's almost the same thing, you know. I mean, they're all, basically, these practices are always the same. They just change a little bit different, you know. Because really, it's just the philosophical view that's a bit different. But basically, Nyingma Kagyu Sakya is all the same, you know. Okay, So that's what we're going to do. And I don't know what time it is, but so come and if you feel like it, and learn to do Naga Puja. So and you can, maybe I can have the text about good days to do Naga Pujas. They can email it or put it on your website or something, and then you can know when to do Naga Pujas yourselves. But it's good to do if you're ill. Like I have a friend who has hepatitis C, and Rinpoche told him to do Naga Puja often, and he does now. He loves doing it. So it's just kind of another interesting little thing to have in your toolbox. I was telling the other day, in Buddhism we have this toolbox of different things to use, and so Naga Puja is a good thing to use, particularly if you're having trouble with drought and these kinds of things, or So I thought this island would be good to do a lot of Naga Pujas on this island. I think it would help, because the really cool thing about living on an island is that you can have more influence over the place, because it's so small. Your prayers really influence the people, instead of being in a big place. It's like you're a big fish in a small pond instead of a big fish in a giant pond, So I thought it'd be good to introduce Naga Pujas to you guys. So that's Monday night. And then Friday night, I was requested again. Last time I was here, we did the Chut practice. And that's another interesting practice that comes from a great yogi named Padampa Sangye. And he taught it to Machik Lobtran, who kind of propagated all over Tibet. And I think it's only really practiced in Tibet. And it's also a practice for spirits. So I've heard a lot of you talking about spirit harm and these kinds of things. And so Chut is a practice that is, well, I'll tell you another story. When one of my gurus he's passed away now, but his name was Geshe Khenrab. And he, back kind of like in the early days, like when Geshe Sopa came, His Holiness sent Geshe Khenrab to Montreal because there was a lot of Tibetans in Montreal. But when he got there, it's like the Tibetans were just interested in Losar and Sakadawa, They weren't really interested in taking teachings. So he went on the dole, like the welfare of Canada. Canada's a more compassionate country than the United States. And they have welfare better, So he basically just kind of went into retreat and gained realizations. And he was actually very high, very humble, but you could tell. Like Lama Yeshe, he had really great realizations. And he said that Kebje Song Rinpoche, who's another one of our great lamas, maybe you've seen a picture of him. He was the one with the little goatee. Very, like our guru's guru, He passed away also. I mean, actually, now he's like 25 or 26. So he's wonderful lama now. And his next incarnation. But anyway, so he would come to Montreal to teach Geshe Khenrab because he was very close. They were from Ganden Chartse Monastery. And he kept telling Geshe he should do Chut, But Gelugpas don't do Chut. You weren't allowed to do it in the monastery. You weren't allowed to even have a Chut drum. So, but he kept telling him, And so finally one time he came and taught, Song Rinpoche taught it in Montreal. And so Geshe started doing it. And he said, I was with him one time and he said, wow, he said, when I started doing Chut, he went like this. My bodhicitta went like this. My emptiness, like this. Because it's a practice that develops specifically those things. Because you practice Tonlen and you do, the practice is you imagine that you cut up your body into pieces, like the Tibetans do at death time, and offer it to all the spirits, and they come and they get really satisfied. Well, actually, you offer it to the gurus first, of course, and request their blessings. But in the end, you offer it to all the spirits and imagine that all of their needs are satisfied. And then you teach them the Dharma. And I was very fortunate to be with my friend Samden, who requested David Molk, the guy who did translated our Medicine Buddha Puja that we use in FPMT. And they met. It was just one of those chance things where he ran into David, and David had heard that we'd finish these big long retreats, and he said, well, what do you want to do next? And Samden said, oh, I want to do chut. And he said, well, I do that. And I said, I want to do it in English. And David said, well, I'm a musician. I'll translate it for you in English chanting. So we learned from David how to do it in English with the Tibetan tunes. So, and that's something I really encourage you to do. Somebody here, or somebody in Mexico, or Damcha needs to tell somebody, to make your Spanish language prayers chantable in Spanish. It's just so much more beautiful to chant instead of going blah, 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 Because when you can chant your prayers, especially if you memorize them, you go slow and it's beautiful. You know how we're talking about music makes you happy, So it's just so much more, opens the heart more if you can chant your prayers. So maybe I should request Damcho to request someone, Because, especially now, because there's so many people with the Spanish language doing Dharma, and it's just like so boring, to just have to read it. And I think it would probably might be difficult, but it's not impossible. But I know that, I've done that for some things in English, and Lama Zopa Rinpoche was very clear, though, that he wanted to keep the tunes. He said, unless it's a realized being, really, they need to keep the tunes, because the tunes themselves come from dakinis and realized beings, and the tunes have a blessing. So that's another reason to chant them, because there's a blessing that comes just from the tunes. And you'll see the chut has very beautiful tunes, and that's one of the reasons I like to do it. So one day, I hope, this next year, I'm going to do retreat for a year, and my plan is to have it memorized, and so I can just do it without having to read it. I almost have it memorized, but so anyway, that's the next Friday night. So Veronica asked me to kind of give you a little introduction. And there's not a whole lot of people here today. I should have done it yesterday, but anyway, so that's that. And where's my little notes? Oh, that was all I wanted to tell you. So, okay, then today we're still on refuge, and we are Gelugpas, which means we like to, do things, well, they all do, but anyway, I just wanted to give you more of a, Lamrim presentation of refuge a little bit. But first, I think we should, too bad I'd already talked a long time. I wanted to meditate. I wanted to do it right at the beginning before our legs get tired, but and the reason, I've been doing the same meditation every time is because I want you to learn it. And the more you do it, the more familiar you become. And you don't have to do it exactly like I do it. But what I wish to share with you is how important it is to spend a little bit of time, not just reading your prayers, but sitting with them and making it, I think I told you before, your own personal kind of thing, so that it becomes something that it's yours, because everybody is different. Everybody wants to practice a little bit different. This is the way I do it, but you need to find the way that you like to do it. But I encourage you to do experience with the refuge and with these meditations. Make an experiential thing rather than just reading it for 3 minutes and moving on, And you don't have to sit as long as we're doing. Generally I do maybe, and it depends, how much time you have. But the reason I'm taking so long is I'm saying all these different things. But after you get it, it all comes together in one thing. You don't have to, you're doing your body the same time you're generating the merit field, the same time so it's, but because I'm explaining it to you, it takes a long time, But once you get it, then you can just kind of do it all together. Does that make sense? There is a sequence. First you do the body and the breathing, and then you do the merit field and these things. But so we'll do it this time again, and maybe we'll see how long it takes, maybe half hour or something. Okay, so everybody all right with that? Okay. Any questions? Okay. Any criticisms? It's okay, you know, I don't mind. Okay. Oh, too, and when you do the chut, like last time, you can just relax and listen. There's nothing to do but listen. It's like a healing, you know. You just come and relax, and you can lie down, you can go to sleep. It's an easy night. I don't ask you to do anything. Just maybe pay a little bit of attention. Oh, wait a minute. I wanted to show you one more thing before we start. I start to meditate, my brain remembers, you know. I think I showed you this before. I think I call it the taps, the 5 taps. Did I show you the no, not the 5 Tibetans. It's this simple thing. The face taps. Yeah. So let's do that, okay? I've been meaning to show you. I think it helps you to relax, right? Remember the face taps? Yeah. Yeah, I never do it anymore either, but I thought it'd be a good thing to do, you know. But it's really helpful if you're too agitated, you know. And I find too it helps my belly relax and helps. So you start with your fingertips, right? And yeah, take your glasses off. And this might help Veronica too. This one. So you take your fingers and you tap your eyebrows. And as you're doing it, you're breathing into your belly. You can close your eyes. And it's rather hard, you know. And as you're doing the tapping, we can do the, becoming aware of the body and breathing into the whole body. This is actually from shiatsu massage. Then you tap just below your eyes. Mine's sore, so I must need to do it. Then you do above the jaw, up here, like right in front of your ears, where it's tight. Yeah. It's kind of just below that bone, you know, below your cheekbone. Yeah, that's the right place. That's right. If it makes you yawn, that's good. You open your mouth and kind of move your jaw around. Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's getting the bad stale chi out, you know. Then here, just below the nose, that's like a large, what is it? I think it's intestine point. And here, the chin. And you take your knuckles and here in the lungs. And breathe it up into your lungs. A little more out here, Jose. Out here, yeah. You feel where it's sore. There's a place where it's sore. Get where it's sore. Both sides. Yeah. And then this is for the, like this, you can't see me. It's the heart meridian. Oh my goodness. No, I don't need coffee. Actually, I had a little bit at Chilla's house. Okay. Now just notice if you feel any different. So then once again, you establish the posture. Feel if you're sitting cross-legged, you feel like your hips and your knees and sort of make a tripod. And you can, if you want to, you can move your hips around. You find a place where you feel the most comfortable, where you can let your breathe into your belly. Remember to loosen up your trousers. And you begin by noticing the soles of your feet, your toes, the top of your feet and your ankles. And as you're doing this, each time you're breathing in and you're imagining that your breath is going into the down into the lower dantian, they call it in Chinese medicine, the lower, your navel area. But so you're doing that while you're going through your body. And as you're going through the body, you imagine, you just tell yourself that, you know, it can relax just a little bit more. And when you're sitting, you never hold, your body's not completely, totally always still all the time. You want to always be aware of your energy, and you can slightly adjust the way you're sitting. I mean, not a lot, but you know, as you go up through your body, you can adjust. Maybe your back needs to move forward or back or something, you know. And then you go up to your calf muscles. Think that they're just relaxing and melting, softening. Everything's becoming more soft. The knees. Feel space in the knee joints. And also at the same time as you're going through your body, you can, this might sound a little bit corny, but you can think, you don't have to think with words, but just feel some affection for your body. Like some care. Like, I love my body. Without it, I wouldn't have a perfect human rebirth. Then you feel your thighs. The hips. the hip socket in the connecting into the pelvis. Then you begin to breathe into the lower abdomen, continuing to do that. And each time you, with your exhale, you just feel your body letting go just a little bit more. Mind letting go just a little more. Then the breath comes from the lower abdomen. As you inhale, you feel your body expanding more up into the stomach region and into the back of the ribs, into where the kidneys are. And the adrenal glands, they sit right on top of the kidneys. It's like in the middle of the lower part of your ribs. And then you allow the breathing to expand into the upper part of the ribs, in the front and the back. Feel your body getting a bit bigger. Up under the breasts, expanding under the armpits. Right up into the top of the lungs, right in the top of the lungs and the ribs. And feel that the breath is what's holding up the body, expanding the rib cage, so that your shoulders are free to just hang. There's space, the shoulder blades in the back are just hanging there on the back. And allow the region between the shoulder blades, breathe right in there and allow that to open up a little bit. And right in the bottom of the neck. You bring the awareness up through the neck, all the way up to the crown of the head. Become aware of the skull, the inside of the skull, the brain. And as you're breathing, it's kind of bringing energy but relaxation at the same time. Become aware of the eyes and the eye sockets and the ears. You can energize the region of the third eye. Very crown of the head. Then you feel, don't forget the arms. So then as you inhale, you imagine that the torso, the trunk of your body is filling up from the bottom up, as if you were a vase, you're pouring water into it. It goes all the way up to the top of the crown of the head, so that the whole body, that's the torso and the neck and the head, is full of energy. And then as you exhale, it goes down your arms and down your legs. So the elbows, the wrists, all the little bones and the hands and fingers energized. You pay attention to the neck so that the chin is slightly tucked in, that opens up the jade pillow at the back, which is the area where the skull meets the spine. In the jaw, the teeth are not touching. The tongue is touching the roof of the mouth. And you imagine that the back part of the mouth, we call it in English the upper palate, that's also expanding and opening. if you like, you can put a little smile on your face, a little smile in your heart. And allow yourself to feel just a very simple pleasure. It's pleasurable, feeling your body and your breath, filling up your body with this kind of pleasurable, gentle, blissful, loving, affectionate feeling. And you feel like your body's hollow. You feel the outline between the membrane that separates you from space. But think of that as being very light, like a very thin cloth, like a wedding veil, you know? Just a very thin separation between the outside space and the inside space. The eyes are either looking down the nose or closed. And the awareness is on the breath going in and going out. And if you are having a lot of discursive thoughts, then you can do that, think using your thoughts to think, as I breathe in, I feel love and protection from the Guru. And as I breathe out, I feel safe. Another thing to do if your mind is quite agitated, then As you exhale, you imagine that the energy, that agitated energy, is leaving through the base of your spine and going down into the center of the earth. And alternately, another alternative is to imagine that as you breathe out, the energy is going from your nostrils way out into the space and just dissolving into space. And with it goes your thoughts. So it's sort of like that the inhale, it's a very subtle energizing, not agitating, but just kind of bright, making bright, clear. And as you exhale, you're just letting go. So that works, that's kind of the feeling of it. And, if your thought is like, if you think, as I breathe in, I feel love, that's kind of energizing, you're feeling warm. And as you exhale and feel safe, that's the letting go. Because when we're safe, we can let go. And one part of your mind is always kind of paying attention to the posture. Am I starting to slump down and shut the energy down around my liver area, My shoulders getting tight. You just gently, very gently keep paying attention. And allow the breath to energize and relax. Breathing in and out. So we could just do this all afternoon, but we're supposed to be thinking about some analytical meditation. So we add that by having, you can if you want, you don't have to, but the idea is the father on the right, mother on the left, compassion on the right and wisdom on the left. All our family and friends and all sentient beings around us. And we contemplate just a little bit about the state of our lives and that of others. Not knowing what's going to happen tomorrow. Having a mind that is pervaded by all kinds of disturbing thoughts and emotions. Having a body, the elements are never in balance, continually being plagued by different kinds of diseases and pains and Not to mention the big emotional relationship problems and work problems, and here we are in the fortunate realms, and then we can think of the less fortunate ones. We get these teachings on the lower realms, but really we don't have to believe in the lower realms to want to develop the wish to attain enlightenment for all sentient beings. We can just look at the human realm and the animal realm. I'm not saying we shouldn't look at the lower realms, but if that's difficult for you, we can just look at the human realm. Just the things we see on the news. Imagine if we were one of the 500,000 people in a Syrian refugee camp in Jordan right now with not enough to eat, no toilet facilities, or very, unsatisfactory ones. Our children are hungry, nothing but a plastic sheet to cover us from the rain and the snow, not enough blankets. Not knowing where your family is, not knowing where some of your children are. This is happening right now to a lot of people. We're living in a place where a multinational corporation has polluted all the water, like in Nigeria, where even the water that you drink, that you have to drink because you have no choice, makes everyone really sick. Or perhaps you could be in Iraq, where the ground is totally polluted with uranium. All the children are being born with cancer. Not all, but a lot. And there's nothing to be done about it. You can't move. You have nowhere to go. These sufferings are very, very real. It could be us next life. It could even be us this life. We don't know, tomorrow the United States could declare war on Russia, and Russia decides to, bomb Puerto Rico. You just never know, I mean, it probably wouldn't happen, but you still never know. I mean, wars can break out anywhere because we have no capacity to see the future. We have no capacity to understand our karma. But we do know that because of the experience we already have, that negative karmas can ripen in seconds. And suddenly, from being very happy, we're plunged into the depths of despair and suffering. What if it was your baby that's, lost in the airplane in the bottom of the sea, What if you lived in North Korea? What if you were an elephant being chased by the poachers and being killed and having your tusks ripped out, Samsara is not pretty. We live in the ignorance all the time, thinking that this is a pleasure grove, because we can go to the mall and go shopping. We forget that tomorrow that mall might be bombed. We might not have water coming out of the tap. The electricity could be gone. A hurricane could come. You know that. That one is even more probable. Big time suffering. Think about Haiti. What happened a few years ago in Haiti. It could happen here. And what would you do? can look to the example of the Tibetans. We know Tibetans whose whole life, overnight, just went from this wonderful, little place where they could practice Dharma all the time to being just a hell realm. And we know lamas who spent 25 years in prisons. And you know how they managed to survive without having horrible, post-traumatic stress disorder from the torture and the beatings? If you talk to the lamas, why? Because they had refuge and they had bodhicitta. So of all the things, we can cultivate in this life, what's going to help you when the hurricane comes? The money in the bank? The money in the Swiss bank? No. The only thing that's going to help you then and at the time of death and in all future lives is refuge and bodhicitta. Refuge to save, to develop your mind into understanding the renunciation, great compassion, caring for all other beings, wisdom, and the mind that knowing that really the only thing to do is to become a Buddha, we generate the bodhicitta. So really, if you think about it, we spend so much of our lives, forgetting about that. And this isn't to make us feel bad. It's just to remind us that how precious, so precious, is refuge and bodhicitta. Even more precious is the Guru. Because without the Guru, there is no refuge. There is no bodhicitta. There's no lamrim. There's no naga puja. There's no chud practice. There's no meditation on death and impermanence. There's no group of Dharma friends. Everything, all the goodness comes from the Guru. All the virtue comes from the Guru. The kindness of the Guru. So seeing this example of these wonderful beings, we want to become like them. So we do that by taking refuge, mostly by taking refuge, remembering their kindness and wanting to repay their kindness, or even just wanting to take care of ourselves. We want to practice. We want to do our practice. Because we have this opportunity this life, but that's because of what we did in a past life. So if we want to meet with the Dharma in the future life, we need to practice in this life. Otherwise, we're just using up all our merit. And next life, we're just, an insect, a roach, being stepped on by somebody. So the reason we do these kind of meditations is because we want to have a really intense longing to be free. Please, Guru, bless me in this very session. Please bless me to remember death and impermanence, Please bless me to have less needs so I have more time to practice Dharma. So then we call the Guru in the space in front of us. Please come and bless my mind right now, today, in this minute, in this session. Please bless me to develop bodhicitta. Please bless me to realize all the stages of the path. And please bless me never to forget that the Guru is in my heart. guiding me, helping me. So then we visualize the Guru in the space in front, either as, your Guru or as Buddha Shakyamuni, and in his heart is the Guru and in his heart is Vajradhara. And we make an intense, fervent longing. Please bless my mind, Lama, please. Please bless me and all sentient beings to be free from all the wrong views, from forgetting about devotion to the virtuous friend, all the way up through the tantric practice, all the obstacles up to the 10 bhumis to achieving the unified state of Vajradharahood. Please, precious Guru, bless me to generate all the realizations of the path of enlightenment in this very lifetime. Please bless me to have all the conditions I need, particularly the inner conditions. Renunciation, bodhicitta, right view. It gives me the leisure time in my mind to do these practices. Please bless me to have outer leisure time to practice, and inner leisure, which is a relaxed mind, an open mind, a mind that wishes to attain enlightenment for all sentient beings. And please, precious Guru, bless me to be free from all the obstacles. The inner obstacles come from my side, the outer obstacles that come from other people, all these karmas I've created. Please bless me to purify the causes and conditions to experience these obstacles. I'm turning my mind away from other objects of refuge and putting my sole source of comfort, of benefit, aspirations into the Buddha, the Guru, the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Sangha. The ultimate refuge is actually the realization of emptiness, conjoined with the great bliss of wishing to attain enlightenment for all sentient beings, that great, great compassion, which only comes from being honest about the sufferings of the world. My own personal sufferings. So then from the Guru's forehead, we imagine white nectars and rays coming in and purifying, coming into our brow chakra and filling up this hollow body we've been visualizing with inspiring, purifying rays, purifying all our obstacles, particularly all the obstacles related with the body, all our sickness, physical obstacles, purifying all the karmas of killing, stealing, sexual misconduct. And then from our body, going out with the exhaling out through the pores of the skin, the thin membrane from the inside space, the outside space. This purifying nectars and rays go out to all sentient beings throughout infinite space, touching them, feeling that they too are being purified of their karmas that come from killing, stealing, and sexual misconduct. And they're all placed in a purified state, and we rejoice. Have faith, totally purified. And then from the throat chakra of the Guru, red nectars and rays come into our own throat chakra, filling up our whole body with red light, purifying all of our mistaken activities or our ignorant activities that we've done not knowing, or being out of control when we lie or gossip or have divisive speech, harsh speech, saying mean things. And having compassion for ourselves and for others for the ignorance that causes us to lose our tempers and say mean things or be afraid and tell lies or can't control our gossiping, you know. We don't want to be doing this with the feeling of, you know, scolding ourselves, we're bad, but with the feeling of, oh man, I'm just so, you know, great compassion for yourself that we have done these things. And allowing that compassion to open our hearts and receive the blessing red rays going through our entire bodies, purifying our speech and going out to all sentient beings, purifying their speech. As far as you can imagine, all beings in the form of humans having their speech purified. I guess other beings don't talk, but still they communicate. All communication karmas are purified. And have faith, you know, just have faith. Kirti Senchen Rinpoche said that the key to Dharma is having faith and intention. So just have faith. And then thinking that's purified, from the heart chakra of the Guru, dark blue light rays and nectars come and into our heart, completely purify all of our ignorance, our wrong views, our covetousness, our ill will, our jealousy, our worries, our fears, our hatreds, doubt. All of our mental afflictions completely purified in the sphere of emptiness. And these rays then go out, touching all sentient beings throughout infinite space, purifying all their wrong views. Particularly the innate grasping a true inherent existence of self and other, and from that the needy mind, the self-cherishing mind, the self-preoccupied mind that comes naturally and sabotages so many of our well-intended activities, you know. As soon as we feel threatened, wham, purifying that mind. So whatever you understand of emptiness, you can meditate on that now. Emptiness of the I, of the truly inherent existent I. Or just imagine it. And just feel space-like awareness. And then all three, from the Guru's brow, throat, and heart, the three colors, white, red, and dark blue, come and enter our three places, purifying all the subtle imprints of the body, speech, and mind activities that come from grasping at the I, that cause us to cause harm to others and harm to ourselves. And it's all purified in this space of objectless compassion and great wisdom. The mind that feels care for others, but at the same time has an experience of lack of true existence of that I that cares. And this care and affection and love for all sentient beings, wishing them all to attain enlightenment, goes out in the form of the three colors, white, red, and blue, touching all sentient beings and any being in particular that you know that needs help. And it's kind of a liberating, happy feeling. Just simply, there's this body there, hollow, breathing in, feeling in all the blessings of the Guru, and then sharing them with all sentient beings, kind of flying on the wings of compassion. So then that very simple meditation of breathing in, I'm breathing in the blessings of all the Gurus. Breathing out, I'm purified, and it goes to all sentient beings. And then once again, feeling grateful for this opportunity and rejoicing, thinking I must attain enlightenment for all sentient beings. Therefore, I'm going to pay attention as much as I can every day to my mind, to my awareness, what I'm thinking, what I'm doing. As much as I can, remember the love of the Guru, and compassion for all sentient beings, and the fact that the I is totally empty. Thinking, is this really something I want to do? Checking up, constantly checking up on your mind, what you're doing with your life. So this makes the Guru very, very happy. So then the Guru, the Buddha dissolves into the Guru, which dissolves into Vajradhara, very bright light, multicolored rainbow light, symbolizing, purified elements and purified delusions. And this comes to the crown of our heads and comes and sits in the center of our heart. And we feel totally protected, at peace, safe. And these rainbow lights go in all directions, touching all the sentient beings. They all become Buddhas, and then they all dissolve back into our body. Like rain falling on the ocean. Light, gentle rain falling on the ocean. And every drop makes us feel more blissful and more happy and more empty. And then we, like the Guru before, dissolve from the bottom up, and the top down, and arms coming into the bright drop at our heart, which is union with the Guru. My mind, the Guru's mind, inseparable. And everything dissolves except for this experience of the union of my mind with the Guru's mind, which is also the union of inseparable bliss and emptiness. Looking for the I. Where is the I? Is it my mind? Is it in my body? Is it outside my body? just rest in that non-finding experience. And then from that emptiness we arise either as the deity or as our ordinary selves. And we dedicate the merits of doing this extensive meditation on refuge, that we can, this and in all future lives, meet with qualified teachers of the Dharma, teachers who have realized the path to enlightenment, can inspire us with their amazing activities, their amazing love, their incredible teachings. That we can strive to practice the Dharma in this and all future lives, and that we can meet with the Dharma in all future lives until we attain enlightenment. And that all sentient beings throughout infinite space can also meet with the Dharma, love the Dharma, practice the Dharma, devote their lives to the Dharma, and thereby free themselves from these 5 contaminated aggregates controlled by delusions and karma, this body-mind that we call I, me, that goes from lifetime to lifetime to lifetime doing all these things, so busy. Can we learn to let go of the busyness and relax into the blissful state of emptiness and compassion? So we'll stop now and take a break. You guys are good? You're right. It takes a lot of patience, sometimes to sit through that. So I appreciate your patience. You're welcome. So we'll have a break till about 4:30. And whatever. Let's just do the taking refuge and generating bodhicitta.
Vamos a la toma de refugio con la bodhicitta. Voy por refugio hasta alcanzar la iluminación, al Buda, al Dharma y a la Asamblea Suprema, por los méritos que acumule practicando la generosidad y demás perfecciones que pueda obtener el estado de Buda para beneficiar a todos los seres. Voy por refugio hasta alcanzar la iluminación, al Buda, al Dharma y a la Asamblea Suprema, por los méritos que acumule practicando la generosidad y demás perfecciones que pueda obtener el estado de Buda para beneficiar a todos los seres. Voy por refugio hasta alcanzar la iluminación, al Buda, al Dharma y a la Asamblea Suprema, por los méritos que acumule practicando la generosidad y demás perfecciones que pueda obtener el estado de Buda para beneficiar a todos los seres.
In the mandala offering. Short mandala.
Okay. Esta tierra ungida con perfume y regada de flores, con el monte Meru, los 4 continentes, el sol y la luna, vista como una tierra pura de Buda, yo te ofrezco, que todos los seres puedan gozar de una tierra así. Oh sagrado y venerable Lama, desde las nubes de compasión que se forman en los cielos de tu sabiduría, por favor derrama una lluvia del Dharma vasta y profundo, de acuerdo precisamente con las necesidades de los que serán adiestrados. Idam Guru Rana Mandala Kam Nirjatayami.
Did you have a nice break? Okay, well. Before we go to questions, there might not be any today, right? Jasmine always has questions. She didn't hear me. I thought I would just review. That's okay. Out of the Lamrim, Lama Tsongkhapa's teachings, he talks about the benefits of taking refuge. So I just thought I would read those to you. The first one is we become a pure Buddhist. And I think, the name Buddhist is a Western idea. The Buddhists don't call themselves Buddhists, And I think it's the idea of being an inner being. Someone whose inner life is more important than the outer life. So I think that's kind of a better description, And taking refuge is the foundation for all other practices and all other vows. And then, it's kind of easy. You purify negative karmas. Helps you to accumulate merits. Number 5 is, tell me if I'm going too fast. You're protected from all harms. Now that doesn't mean that bad things never happen to you. Because bad things are going to happen to you. It just means when they do happen to you, if you have a deep refuge, then you don't actually feel the harm. It's like we were talking about when my stepfather was dying of cancer, and he was very much an inner being. He realized there was a difference between a cure and healing. He wasn't cured of cancer, it killed him, but he was healed. You know, he was completely ready to die, and he said goodbye to everyone. And there was, besides the physical suffering, he was inside. He was okay. So, you know, we can have chronic diseases and these things that maybe have no cure, but we can still be healed. You know, it's like we can't really cure samsara until we become enlightened, but we can definitely, through refuge and bodhicitta in our practice, we can experience the healing of samsara, right? So I think that's more what it means when it says protecting from all harms. Otherwise, you know, you can end up like people get mad at God when bad things happen. You could get mad at Buddha. You know, you could say, "Oh, I took refuge, but now I'm getting harmed." You know, this is a problem here. You know, and I think this gets into a difficult situation people have with lamas. I think we might have talked about this already, but how we kind of, because we're Christians, you know, we meet a lama, we think, kind of project like lama's going to take care of me, you know, and we treat lama like God or Father, and you know, oh, lama this, lama that, you know. And then when things go wrong, we get angry at the lama, particularly if it's something the lama told us to do or asked us to do. You know, when it turns out to be a big suffering, you can have a big problem. But I think the skillful way to deal with that situation is, I'm here to learn something. You know, I have to learn something from this. What can I learn from this? You know, or we have to think of ourselves like Milarepa. You know, Marpa put him through so much difficulties, and it would have been very easy for him to run away. You know, I think he tried, and but in the end, you know, Marpa was putting him through these trials because he needed to purify his negative karma. So sometimes the gurus give us things to do, and you know, it doesn't turn out how we want it to. So we have to, instead of seeing the guru as like harming me, it's much more beneficial to think, oh, the guru is helping me to purify, or I'm learning something from this, you know. So the next one, number 6, is that if you really have refuge, you won't ever go to the lower realms, at least not in this life. And that makes sense, you know, because if you go on to we did the last one before, you know, what makes you go to the lower realms? Mostly it's anger and hatred, isn't it? So if you're able to be an inner being and take refuge when bad things happen to you, then you don't retaliate to harm. You know, you don't have, you know, it might, I'm not saying you're not going to get mad or you're not going to have hatred, but because we have emptiness and because we have these mind trainings, we cannot really buy into it. You know, you can't really make the anger and hatred go away until you're a very realized being. But at least when the anger comes up, or the jealousy or whatever, you can tell yourself, okay, you know, here it is again. I'm going to just sit with it. I'm going to take, you know, maybe you need to talk to somebody about it, but I'm not going to act on it. I'm not going to go harm somebody. I'm not going to retaliate, you know. So I think that's how, you know, taking refuge prevents you from going to the lower realms. Because it's very difficult, you know, like we said yesterday, karma doesn't go away by itself. It's the guru can't really save you. You know, they're not saviors, even, you know. You're not like, by taking refuge, we're saved, you know, but by somebody else. You know, the only thing that can save us is our own energy, you know, our own work. Faith, the faith, exactly. Good point. And it's like that story of, one of the stories you probably heard is about the woman who came to the Buddha and said, my son is having to go off to war. Do you know that story? Please, will you protect my son? And so Buddha, I hope I'm getting this right. So Buddha, somehow through his magical power, made the sun very small and put him in his begging bowl. But after the battle was over, he looked inside and the sun was still dead, died. Because in the teaching is, Buddha can't prevent your karma from ripening. If you have the karma to die, Buddha can't stop that. I mean, Buddha could maybe give you some practices. Like I know a woman who was dying of cancer, and Rinpoche gave her all these things to do, mostly saving lives, And she was like terminal, stage 4 cancer, supposed to die, and she went back like 6 weeks later, and there was no cancer in her body at all, and the doctors just couldn't believe it. But that was because Rinpoche could see that she had somewhere the potential to ripen the karma to not die. Because they say when we do white Tara, that's what it is. It's not that white Tara magically keeps us alive, but that it brings forth the potential that we have not to die or have that sickness. But if you don't have that karmic potential in your mind stream, there's nothing that can be done. So you might as well just get ready to die. But I can tell you another story. One time, I had a really good friend. My first time in India, his name was Stefano. He was from Bologna in Italy. He was a monk, and I really liked him a lot. He was very helpful to me, and he was kind of psychic. He helped me with making some decisions I needed to make about my life. But he had been a junkie. He had been a heroin addict, and I think he ended up disrobing, and was in Kathmandu and tried heroin again, and he overdosed and died. It was really sad, he was probably 35, really good-looking guy, really bright, artistic, his parents were professors at the University of Bologna. And about a year later, there was a black cat, I think it was actually a lynx, that was prowling around the Himalayan Yogic Institute, which is the FPMT center in Kathmandu. And so, because he had died in Kathmandu. And people started joking, oh, that's Stefano. And Rinpoche got really wrathful. He said, that is not Stefano. None of my students will go to the lower realms. So, I don't know, maybe the Lama can keep you from going to the lower realms. I don't know for sure, But I think, really, it's, Stefano did have a great refuge, and probably, time of death. I think the Lama is able to help you in the bardo, if you can remember the Guru. That's why, like His Holiness Psychic Trenzin told us that every night before you go to bed, it's really important to remember the Guru. And when you wake up in the morning, it's really important to remember the Guru, to get in the habit of remembering the Guru, so that when the bardo comes, the habit's there to remember the Guru, Yeah. So the next one is all temporary and ultimate wishes come true. I don't know about that one. I don't know how that works, but that's there. I guess because, you're making merit, but I know people whose wishes don't come true, and they've been Buddhists all their lives, so I don't know. But anyway, that's what it says. I don't want to, argue. And the last one is that it helps us to achieve enlightenment quickly, and I think that's understandable. The deeper our refuge, the more we practice, the more we, purify and accumulate and attain enlightenment. So, yeah. And then the next thing I just wanted to review is there are commitments to taking refuge. And